The clock on the wall reads 2:47 a.m. Gianna Coffey's hands are slick with vomit and sweat as she presses down on the chest of a dying man. Her knees ache against the cold checkered linoleum floor of Zoya's diner, but she doesn't stop. Can't stop. 28, 29, 30. Her voice cracks. The man beneath her hands, expensive charcoal suit now soaked, designer watch glinting under the harsh fluorescent lights, is gray. His lips are turning blue, foam crusts at the corners of his mouth. His eyes are half open, pupils blown wide, unseeing. Poisoned. She knows poisoning when she sees it. Behind her, two massive men in black suits stand frozen. One has his hand inside his jacket, gripping what she knows is a gun. They're deciding whether to shoot her or let her work. She's a 32-year-old black waitress in a faded blue uniform, and she's touching their boss with hands that smell like fryer grease and desperation. 90 seconds. That's how long a brain can survive without oxygen before permanent damage sets in. She's at 60, maybe 70. "Come on," she whispers, leaning down to breathe into his mouth. His lips are cold. "Come on, damn you." She doesn't know his name yet, doesn't know he's a mafia boss, doesn't know that saving him will destroy her life, endanger her daughter, force her to face the trauma she's been running from for 3 years, and shatter her heart in ways she didn't know were possible. All she knows is this. She has 30 seconds left, and she's not letting another person die on her watch. Then his eyes snap open, and everything changes. 3 hours earlier, Gianna Coffey was trying not to fall asleep on her feet. Zoya's Diner, located in the forgotten corner of Los Angeles where downtown meets the industrial district, was never busy at midnight. But the owner, Mira, kept it open 24 hours because the rent was cheaper that way. Some tax loophole Gianna didn't understand and didn't care about. She just needed the night shift pay. She'd already worked the day shift at a different diner across town. 16 hours on her feet. Her back screamed. Her daughter, Jane, was asleep at their neighbor Mrs. Bruce's apartment, the 4th time this week Gianna had imposed. Mrs. Bruce never complained, but Gianna saw the judgment in her eyes. What kind of mother works doubles and leaves her 9-year-old with strangers? The kind who's 3 months behind on rent. That's what kind. Gianna wiped down the counter for the 3rd time, eyes burning with exhaustion. The diner was empty except for Leonard, the regular who nursed a single coffee for 4 hours every night and never tipped. The neon "Open 24 Hours" sign buzzed and flickered in the window, casting red shadows across the black and white floor. She glanced at the clock. 2:30 a.m., 3.5 hours until her shift ended. Then home to wake Jane, get her dressed, drop her at school, sleep for maybe 2 hours, and start again. This was her life now. This was all it would ever be. The bell above the door chimed. 3 men walked in, and Gianna knew immediately they were different. She'd worked enough late-night shifts to recognize danger when it wore expensive shoes. The 2 men in front were giants, 6 foot plus, shoulders like linebackers, moving with the precise awareness of trained fighters. They wore black suits that probably cost more than Gianna's car. One was Asian, late 20s, with a scar bisecting his left eyebrow. The other was white, older, with hands that looked like they'd broken many faces. But it was the 3rd man who made Gianna's breath catch. He was Korean, maybe late 40s, with silver threading through black hair slicked back from a face that could have been carved from stone. His suit was charcoal gray, perfectly tailored, the kind of expensive that whispered rather than shouted. A watch that probably cost 6 figures glinted on his wrist. He moved like water. Smooth, controlled, every gesture deliberate. His eyes swept the diner with the assessment of someone who cataloged exits and threats automatically. When his gaze landed on Gianna, she felt X-rayed, evaluated, dismissed as non-threatening. The 2 bodyguards, because that's obviously what they were, positioned themselves near the windows, backs to the walls, watching the street. The Korean man slid into a center booth with clear sightlines to both doors. Gianna grabbed her order pad and approached, heartbeat too loud in her ears. "Coffee," he said. His voice was low, accent thick but English clear. He didn't look at her. "Anything else?" "No." She brought the coffee. Her hands didn't shake. She'd learned long ago to hide fear. He wrapped both hands around the mug like he was cold, even though the diner was stuffy with late summer heat. Gianna returned to the counter, watched him from the corner of her eye as she pretended to organize menus. He stared into the coffee like it held answers, tired eyes, deep lines around his mouth. This was a man who didn't sleep well. He lifted the mug, took one sip. Then his face changed. It was subtle, a flicker of surprise, a furrow between his brows. He set the mug down carefully, too carefully. Looked at it like it had betrayed him. "Sir?" Gianna called. "Is everything—" He stood abruptly, swayed. One hand gripped the table edge, knuckles white. The bodyguards moved instantly, hands going to weapons. The Korean man's mouth opened. No sound came out, just a thin line of foam, white and obscene, spilling over his lower lip. Then he collapsed. 6 feet of controlled power crumpled like a puppet with cut strings. His head cracked against the booth's edge on the way down. He convulsed once, body rigid, then went terrifyingly still. "Boss!" The Asian bodyguard lunged forward, dropping to his knees. "Mr. Jang!" Gianna was moving before conscious thought. Her feet carried her around the counter, her hands already reaching. Training she'd tried to bury for 3 years surged up like muscle memory. "Don't touch him!" The white bodyguard barked, gun suddenly in his hand, aimed at her chest. She froze. "He's been poisoned. Ricin or arsenic, based on the foam. If you want him to live, I need to—" "Who are you?" The gun didn't waver. "Gianna, I used to be an EMT." "Used to." The words tasted like ash. "I can help him, but you're wasting time." The Asian bodyguard, Min Wang, she'd later learn, made a snap decision. "Let her work." Gianna dropped to her knees beside the body. Up close, she could see the man's lips were already blue-tinged. His chest wasn't moving. Pulse. She pressed 2 fingers to his neck. Thready. Almost gone. No time. She tilted his head back, cleared his airway. Foam and saliva. She wiped away with her apron, positioned her hands on his chest, lower sternum, heel of her hand, other hand on top, fingers interlaced, elbows locked, and pushed. 30 compressions, hard and fast. The crack of cartilage under her palms. Probably a rib. She didn't stop. Couldn't stop. 1, 2, 3, 4. This was the nightmare she'd been running from. Another person dying under her hands. Another life she couldn't save. The boy, Steve, 7 years old, asthma attack. She'd done everything right and he'd still ended up brain damaged. Flashed through her mind. 28, 29, 30. She bent down, pinched his nose, sealed her mouth over his, expensive cologne and bitter almonds on his breath, the telltale scent of cyanide, and breathed. Once, twice. His chest rose, back to compressions. Her arms burned. Sweat dripped into her eyes. The clock ticked. 60 seconds, 70. She breathed into him again, tasted death on his lips. "Please," she whispered against his mouth. "Please don't die on me, not again, I can't." His chest heaved. She jerked back. He gasped, a horrible wet sound, and vomited across the floor. His body curled instinctively. Eyes fluttered open, dark brown, unfocused, terrified, alive. Gianna sat back on her heels, hands shaking now that it was over. The white bodyguard's gun was still trained on her. Min Wang was on his phone, barking orders in Korean. The man, Mr. Jang, turned his head. His eyes found hers. For a moment, just a moment, she saw something flicker in that gaze. Recognition. Gratitude. Then his eyes rolled back, and he passed out. Within minutes, a black SUV pulled up. No ambulance. These men didn't trust hospitals. They lifted Jiang carefully, and Min Wang pressed something into Jiana's hands. She looked down. 5 $100 bills. For your silence, Min Wang said. Then they were gone, leaving Jiana alone in an empty diner with vomit on the floor and the taste of almonds in her mouth. She should have called the police. She should have asked questions. Instead, she cleaned up the mess, finished her shift, and went home to wake her daughter for school. She didn't know, couldn't have known, that in saving Dembo Jiang's life, she'd just signed her own death warrant. Now, before we go any further, I need to tell you something. This story, it doesn't go where you think it does. Jiana saving this man's life, that's just the beginning. There are twists coming that will completely change how you see everything you just watched. Betrayal from someone she'll trust, a sacrifice that will break your heart, and a moment where she'll have to choose between saving the man who saved her or protecting her daughter. So if you want to know the full truth, and trust me, you do, make sure you're subscribed. Because if you click away now, you'll regret it. Jiana tried to forget the man in the expensive suit, tried to pretend she hadn't performed CPR on someone who traveled with armed bodyguards, tried not to wonder if the $500 in her purse was blood money. She failed at all three. 2 days passed. She worked her shifts, picked up Jane from school, made dinner from whatever was on sale. Jane had started asking why they couldn't afford new shoes. Her current pair had holes in the toes, carefully colored in with marker to look like a design. Gianna had lied and said it was fashionable. On the third day, the eviction notice arrived. Gianna stood in their apartment, a one-bedroom where she slept on the couch so Jane could have the bedroom, and read the paper 3 times. 72 hours to vacate or be forcibly removed. 3 months back rent, now due immediately, $4,200. She had $847 in her account. Even with the $500 from the bodyguard, she was impossibly short. She sat on the couch and let herself cry for exactly 5 minutes. That was all the time she allowed for self-pity. Then she wiped her face, made Jane a snack, and started calling landlords about cheaper apartments. Every single one wanted first month, last month, and security deposit up front, minimum $3,000. She was making calculations, sell her car, borrow from Mrs. Bruce, maybe pick up a third shift somewhere, when someone knocked on the door. Through the peephole, Min Wang, the Asian bodyguard from the diner. Gianna's heart stopped. She checked that Jane was in the bedroom with headphones on, then opened the door with the chain still attached. Ms. Coffee? Min Wang's English was better than his boss's. Mr. Jiang would like to speak with you. I don't think that's a good idea. He's in the car. 5 minutes of your time. No? Min Wang's expression didn't change. He knows about the eviction notice. He'd like to make you an offer. Gianna closed the door, stood there, breathing hard, considered her options. Refuse and be homeless in 3 days. Or hear out a man who was probably a criminal. She looked at the bedroom door. Jane's laugh drifted through, watching something on her phone, a phone that was 3 generations old because new ones cost money. Gianna opened the door. 5 minutes. The black SUV was idling at the curb. The back door opened as she approached. Inside, Dembo Jiang, looking better than he had dying on her diner floor but still pale, shadows under his eyes. He wore another expensive suit, this one navy. Gianna slid in but left the door open. Escape route. Ms. Coffee? His voice was rough, like he'd spent the days screaming. Thank you for seeing me. You investigated me. I investigate everyone who saves my life. A ghost of a smile. Short list. What do you want? He studied her with those dark, assessing eyes. I want to hire you. I'm a waitress. You were an EMT, certified for 3 years. Quit after... He glanced at a folder on the seat beside him. After a child patient suffered complications during resuscitation, you blame yourself. The mother blamed you. You haven't worked in emergency medicine since. Gianna's nails bit into her palms. That's none of your business. It is if I'm trusting you with my life. He closed the folder. Someone poisoned me, Ms. Coffee. Someone with access to my coffee, my food, my home. Someone I trust. I don't trust hospitals. Too many people. Too much opportunity for a second attempt. But I need medical care while I recover, and while I find the traitor. Hire a private nurse. I'm hiring you. I'm not interested in your money. Yes, you are. No judgment in his voice, just fact. 3 months behind on rent, 2 jobs that barely cover expenses, a daughter who needs new shoes and won't ask because she knows you can't afford them. You're drowning, Ms. Coffee. I'm offering you a life raft. Rage and shame warred in her chest. How dare you? $50,000. He said it calmly, like it was nothing. For 3 months of work. You check my vitals twice daily, advise on any symptoms, help me identify what I was poisoned with and who had access. You don't have to live with me. You don't have to like me. You just have to keep me alive long enough to find the rat. Gianna stared at him. $50,000. That was Jane's school tuition paid through high school. That was a real apartment. That was her car fixed. That was breathing room. For the first time in 3 years. I don't work in medicine anymore, she said quietly. You did 3 nights ago. That was instinct. Instinct born from skill. He leaned forward slightly. Ms. Coffee, I'm not asking you to save lives in ambulances. I'm asking you to keep one person alive. Me. Is that something you can do? She should say no. Every rational part of her screamed to walk away from this man and whatever darkness followed him. But she thought of Jane's worn shoes. The eviction notice. The fear that had lived in her chest for 3 years. The fear that they'd end up on the street. That she'd lose her daughter to the system because she couldn't provide. I need to think about it, she said. You have 12 hours. He handed her a card. Heavy stock, embossed lettering. Just a phone number. After that, the offer expires. Gianna took the card and left the SUV. That night, she lay on the couch and stared at the ceiling. Jane was asleep in the next room, soft snores drifting through the thin door. The eviction notice sat on the coffee table. She thought about the boy, Steve, the way his mother had looked at her. You should have let him go peacefully. As if death was better than life with complications. As if Gianna's desperate compressions had been cruelty instead of love. She'd believed it, for 3 years. Believed she was better off not trying, because trying meant failing, and failing meant broken children and broken mothers and a broken version of herself. But Dembo Jiang wasn't a child. He was a grown man who knew exactly what she was signing up for. And he wasn't asking her to save the world. Just him. At 6 a.m., Gianna called the number. Min Wang answered. Ms. Coffee. I have conditions, she said. I won't participate in anything illegal. I won't touch guns. And if I think Jane is in any danger, I walk, no matter what I signed. Agreed. And I want the money up front. First month's pay before I start. A pause. Then. Mr. Yang agrees to your terms. A contract will be delivered this morning. The first payment will be wired once you sign. Gianna closed her eyes. Okay. Okay. Tell him I'll take the job. She hung up and immediately wanted to vomit. What had she just done? 3 hours later, a courier delivered a contract and a check for 16,666.67 cents, 1 month's pay. Gianna stared at it until the numbers blurred. Then she paid her rent, bought Jane new shoes, and prepared to enter a world she didn't understand. The apartment Jiang provided was in a building he owned in Koreatown. Modern, secure, with a doorman who nodded at Gianna like he knew exactly who she was. 10th floor, corner unit, 2 bedrooms with actual doors that closed. Furniture included. Utilities paid. Jane had cried when she saw her new bedroom. It's so big, Mama. Gianna had smiled until her face hurt, then locked herself in the bathroom and cried too. The next morning, Min Wang arrived at 9 a.m. sharp to drive them to Jiang's estate in the Hollywood Hills. Jane went to school, a private academy where Jiang had already paid her tuition, and Gianna went to work. The estate was obscene, gated, guards at the entrance, sprawling modern architecture of glass and stone. Min Wang led her through a foyer that could fit her old apartment 3 times over, down a hallway lined with abstract art that probably cost more than she'd earn in 10 lifetimes. Jiang's bedroom suite was on the 2nd floor. He was awake, sitting in an armchair by the window, staring at the city below. He'd lost weight. Cheekbones too sharp now, the expensive clothes hanging looser. "Ms. Coffee?" He didn't look at her. Punctual. "You're paying me to be." She set down her medical bag, new, also provided by him. "I need to check your vitals." He extended his arm without argument. She wrapped the blood pressure cuff, feeling the intimacy of touching him. His skin was warm, pulse steady at his wrist. "Blood pressure's low," she said. 140/85. "Not critical, but you're still recovering. Any nausea?" "Some. Dizziness." "Yes." "Memory problems? Confusion?" A pause. "I forget words sometimes. In English and Korean." She made notes. "That's neurological damage from oxygen deprivation. It should improve, but we need to monitor it. Any idea what you were poisoned with?" "I had samples tested. Ricin, mixed with cyanide compounds. Small doses over 2 weeks, building in my system. The coffee at your diner was the final, lethal dose." Gianna's hand stilled. "Someone tried to kill you slowly. Someone wanted it to look like natural causes. Heart attack, organ failure." His jaw tightened. "Someone who knows I don't trust doctors." "Who had access to your food?" "That's what you're going to help me determine." Over the next 3 hours, Yang walked her through his daily routine. Morning vitamins, custom blend, ordered from a private supplier. Coffee, brewed by his housekeeper, Mrs. Lim. Meals, prepared by his personal chef. Rotated with restaurant takeout. Supplements kept in his office, his bedroom, his car. "Who has keys to your office?" Gianna asked. "My lawyer, Christine Vega. My financial officer, Ian Vey. My head of security, Haewon Park." "The housekeeper?" "She's been with me 12 years. I trust her with my life." "You trusted someone who put poison in your coffee." Jiang's eyes snapped to hers. For a moment she saw the predator beneath the civilized veneer. Then he nodded slowly. "Point taken." They spent the afternoon collecting evidence. Jiang showed her his supplement bottles, 6 different kinds, kept in 3 locations. Gianna photographed each one, made meticulous notes. She met Mrs. Lim, a Korean woman in her 60s, who looked at Gianna with undisguised suspicion, but answered questions politely. The chef, David, a white man with tattoo sleeves who seemed genuinely horrified that someone had poisoned his employer. "I taste everything before it goes out," David insisted. "Everything." "Ricin poisoning has a delayed effect," Gianna explained. "You could have ingested small amounts and not shown symptoms yet. You should get tested." His face went pale. Jesus. By evening, Gianna's head throbbed with information. She sat in Yang's study. Wood paneling, leather chairs, a wall of books in Korean and English, and reviewed her notes while he made phone calls in rapid Korean. When he hung up, she said, "I need to know what you do." "Exactly. Because if someone wants you dead, I need to know why." Jiang was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I run an import-export business. Legitimate, on paper. But my real work is organizing. I connect people who need services with people who provide them. I move money for those who can't move it themselves. I solve problems that can't be solved through legal channels. You're a criminal. I'm a facilitator. And yes, some of what I facilitate is illegal." He met her eyes. "Does that change your willingness to help me?" Gianna thought of Jane's new school, their safe apartment, the money in her account. "I'm already here. Just don't lie to me again. I won't. Who would want you dead? Rival organizations. Enemies I've made. Someone in my own network who wants my territory. He poured himself whiskey, didn't offer her any. The problem is the method. Slow poisoning means someone close, someone patient, someone who wanted me to suffer. Personal. Then. Very. Gianna opened her laptop and pulled up the photos of the supplement bottles. We need to test these. If ricin was mixed into the vitamins, we can narrow down where it was added and who had access. Zhang made a call. Within an hour, a man in a lab coat arrived to collect samples. No questions asked, no paperwork, just a discreet nod and a promise of results within 24 hours. This was Zhang's world. Money and power moving invisibly, bending rules, making impossible things happen with a single phone call. Gianna should have been terrified. Instead, she felt a strange, shameful thrill. For 3 years she'd been powerless, drowning, invisible. Here, with this dangerous man in his fortress of wealth, she mattered. Her expertise had value. Her voice was heard. Ms. Coffee. Zhang's voice pulled her back. Min Wang will drive you home. Same time tomorrow? Yes. She packed her bag. At the door, she paused. Mr. Zhang? Why me? Really? You could have hired an actual doctor. Someone with credentials and experience. He considered the question like it was a chess move. Because you chose to save me when walking away was safer. That tells me you have a conscience, and right now, surrounded by people I can't trust, I need someone with a conscience. Gianna left with those words echoing in her head. The lab results came back the next day. Ricin residue in the vitamin bottles stored in Yang's office. Not in the bottles at his home or in his car. The office bottles were accessed by exactly 5 people. Zhang himself, his assistant, his lawyer Christine, his financial officer Ian, and his enforcer Hei-Wan. Your assistant, Gianna said. You trust them? Su-Jin has been with me since I started the business. She's like family. Then we focus on the other 3. Over the next week, Gianna watched Zhang work. She sat in on meetings, silent and invisible in the corner, checking his vitals and observing the people around him. Christine Vega, the lawyer, sharp, ambitious, late 30s, expensive taste in suits. She spoke to Zhang with casual familiarity, called him Dembo instead of Mr. Zhang. Gianna noted the intimacy, wondered if there was history there. Ian Vey, the financial officer, white, late 30s, Ivy League educated, the kind of handsome that knew it. He managed Zhang's money, kept the books clean, made the illegal look legitimate. He smiled too much, called Gianna sweetheart in a tone that made her skin crawl. Hei-Wan Park, head of security, Korean, early 40s, built like a tank, with eyes that tracked movement like a predator. He'd taken 3 bullets for Yang 5 years ago and walked away. Loyalty proven in blood. Any of them could be the traitor. All of them had motive, money, power, revenge. Zhang set a trap. He told Christine he'd be at a private club on Friday night, told Ian he'd be dining at home, told Hei-Wan he'd be visiting a warehouse in Vernon. Then he stayed home and waited to see who sent killers to which location. Gianna spent that Friday night at the estate, monitoring Yang's recovery and trying not to think about the violence happening somewhere in the city because of their investigation. Nothing happened. No attacks. No attempts. Maybe they're smarter than we thought, Gianna said at midnight, exhausted. Zhang stared into his whiskey glass. Or maybe the traitor is waiting for a better opportunity. The opportunity came 3 days later. Min Wang was driving Zhang to a meeting downtown when the car exploded. Gianna was at the apartment with Jane, helping with homework, when her phone rang. Zhang's number. Hello? Ms. Coffee? His voice was steady, but she heard sirens in the background. There's been an incident. Min Wang is injured. I need you to meet me at the estate. What kind of incident? The kind with explosives. I'm fine. He's not. The line went dead. Gianna called Mrs. Bruce to watch Jane, then drove to the estate with her heart in her throat. She arrived to find ambulances leaving, fire trucks still present, and Young standing in the driveway covered in soot and blood that wasn't his. He looked at her, and something in his expression cracked. They put a bomb under the car. Remote detonation. Min Wang saw the wire at the last second and swerved. It went off under the passenger side instead of the driver's side. He saved my life. Where is he? Hospital. Critical condition but stable. Zhang's hands were shaking. Actually shaking. I should have seen it coming. Should have checked the car myself. You can't predict everything. In my world, failure to predict means death. He looked at her, and for the first time she saw fear in his eyes. Not fear of dying. Fear of being responsible for someone else's death. This is what happens to people who stay close to me, Ms. Coffee. They get hurt. Min Wang might not walk again because he was driving my car. Gianna stepped closer, close enough to smell the smoke on his clothes. He chose to drive that car. He chose to work for you. Stop taking away his agency. You don't understand? I understand that you're spiraling and you need to focus. Her voice was firm, the voice she'd used in ambulances when patients panicked. Whoever did this just escalated. That means they're getting desperate. That means we're getting close. Zhang stared at her. Then, slowly, he nodded. The bomb was sophisticated. Military grade. That narrows the suspect pool. Who in your organization has access to explosives? Ian served in the army, explosives training. Haiwan has connections to arms dealers, but he'd never hurt Min Wang. They're cousins. What about Christine? She's a lawyer, not a soldier. She could hire someone. Gianna pulled out her phone. We need to look at financial records, large withdrawals, payments to unknown accounts. If someone hired a bomber, there's a money trail? Zhang's eyes sharpened. Ian handles the finances. Then we don't ask Ian. We go around him. They spent that night in Zhang's study, poring over bank statements and transaction records that Zhang accessed through back channels. Gianna didn't ask how he got into systems that should have been secure. She just focused on the numbers. At 3 a.m. she found it. A $50,000 withdrawal from one of Yang's shell accounts 3 weeks ago. Marked as consulting fees, but routed through 2 intermediary accounts before disappearing. That's not consulting, Zhang said grimly. That's payment for services rendered. Can you trace where it ended up? I can try. He made calls, woke people up, made threats in Korean that sounded terrifying even though Gianna couldn't understand the words. By dawn, he had an answer. The money had been withdrawn in cash from a bank in Las Vegas. No paper trail after that. Dead end. But now they knew for certain. The traitor had $50,000 to spend on killing Young. Gianna should have gone home, should have checked on Jane, slept, maintained boundaries. Instead, she stayed. Zhang ordered breakfast from somewhere. Mrs. Lim wasn't in yet, and they ate in exhausted silence. You have a child, Zhang said suddenly. Gianna looked up from her eggs. Yes. Jane. 9 years old, smart, likes to draw. You investigated her too. Of course. No apology. Her father? Not in the picture. Never was. That must be difficult. We manage. She set down her fork. Do you have children? Something shuddered in his expression. A son. Stephen. He's 19. Does he live with you? No. He lives with his grandparents in Seoul. Zhang's voice was carefully neutral. We don't speak. Why not? Because I'm a terrible father. He said it like a fact, not a confession. His mother died when he was 7. I was too busy building an empire to raise him properly. Sent him to the best schools, gave him everything money could buy. Everything except a parent who was present. He's deaf, born that way. I never learned sign language. We communicated through interpreters, through notes. Never directly. Gianna heard the regret beneath the stoic words. It's not too late. Some things are too broken to fix. I don't believe that. Jiang looked at her with those dark, tired eyes. Why are you still here, Ms. Coffee? You could have left after delivering your findings. You're not being paid to keep me company at dawn. She didn't have a good answer. Or maybe she did. And it scared her. Someone's trying to kill you. Until we figure out who, I guess I'm not comfortable leaving you alone. That sounds like you care. Don't let it go to your head. He almost smiled. Almost. When this is over, when we find the traitor and I'm no longer in danger, will you go back to waitressing? I don't know. Maybe. You're good at this. Medical investigation. You see patterns I miss? I'm just asking questions. You're saving my life. Again. He leaned back in his chair, studying her. You said you quit being an EMT because of a boy. Steve. You performed CPR for 6 minutes. Saved his life, but he had complications. His mother blamed you. Gianna's chest tightened. You read that in your background check. I want to hear it from you. Why? Because I think you're still punishing yourself for something that wasn't your fault. She should have deflected. Should have changed the subject. Instead, words spilled out. He was 7. Asthma attack at school. They called 911, but I got there first. I was doing a transport nearby. He wasn't breathing. Blue lips, no pulse. I started CPR immediately. Did everything right, textbook perfect. She could still feel the small chest under her hands, the desperate rhythm of compressions. His heart restarted after 6 minutes. 6 minutes without oxygen. He had brain damage, hypoxic injury. He could walk, talk, but he wasn't the same. Slower. Memory problems. His mother looked at me in the hospital and said, "You should have let him go peacefully. Now we have to watch him struggle every day." That's cruel, Jiang said quietly. That's grief. She wanted her son back exactly as he was, and I couldn't give her that. So she decided I'd hurt him instead of helped him. And maybe she was right. Maybe those extra minutes I gave him were just more time to suffer. Or maybe they were more time to live. Jiang leaned forward. Ms. Coffee, Gianna, you gave that boy a chance. His mother's pain doesn't erase the gift of that chance, and it doesn't define your worth as a healer. Gianna's eyes burned. She looked away. Why do you care? Because you saved me. And I suspect you've been carrying guilt for 3 years that you don't deserve. So I'm returning the favor, telling you what you need to hear. They sat in silence as the sun rose over Los Angeles. 2 broken people holding each other's wounds carefully. Mrs. Lim arrived at 7 and clucked disapprovingly at them still in yesterday's clothes. She sent Gianna home with a container of kimchi and instructions to eat properly. At the apartment, Jane was awake, being fed pancakes by Mrs. Bruce. Mama, Jane ran to her. Where were you? Working, baby. I'm sorry. Mrs. Bruce said you were helping someone important. Gianna hugged her daughter, breathing in the scent of Johnson's baby shampoo and strawberry toothpaste. Yeah, I am. That afternoon, while Jane was at a friend's house, Gianna returned to the estate. Jiang was in the garden, an immaculate space of rock and water and carefully pruned trees, staring at a koi pond. Min Wang woke up, he said, without turning around. He'll walk again. Eventually. That's good news. He asked me to tell you thank you for keeping me alive while he's recovering. Gianna joined him at the pond's edge. The koi were orange and white, graceful, oblivious. Jiang, whoever planted that bomb isn't done. They're going to try again. I know. So, what's the plan? He pulled something from his pocket, a USB drive. Christine provided financial records from Ian's personal accounts. Offshore holdings, shell companies. There's money moving that shouldn't be. Embezzlement? Possibly. Or payments for services. I need to confront him, but carefully. If he's the traitor, confronting him directly could trigger another attempt. What if you're wrong? What if it's not Ian? Then I'm looking at my enforcer or my lawyer, both of whom are equally dangerous. Gianna watched the koi circle. You need leverage, something that makes them confess without attacking. I'm working on it. Over the next 2 weeks, Gianna fell into a rhythm. Mornings with Jane, breakfast, school drop-off, precious normalcy. Days at the estate with Yang, vitals checks that became longer conversations, investigation work that felt more like partnership. Evenings back home, homework and dinner and bedtime stories. Jane asked about Zhang. Is he nice? The man you help? He's complicated, Gianna said carefully. But yes, he's nice to me. Does he have kids? A son, Stephen. They don't see each other much. That's sad. You should tell him to call his son. It's not that simple, baby. Why not? If you love someone, you should tell them. Out of the mouths of children, Gianna started noticing things about Yang. The way he took his coffee. Black. 2 sugars. But only after checking the cup wasn't chipped. The way he stood at windows. Always watching, never relaxed. The way he'd reflexively reach for his phone when it rang, then pause and check the number before answering. A man who'd learned threats came from familiar places. And the way he looked at her. Like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. Like he couldn't decide if she was brave or foolish for staying. One evening, Gianna brought Jane to the estate. She'd had no choice. Mrs. Bruce had a doctor's appointment and Jane's friend was sick. Jang had said it was fine. Safe. His estate was a fortress. Jane was shy at first, hiding behind Gianna's legs when Jang entered the room. He crouched down to her level, this powerful man making himself small and non-threatening. Hello, Jane. I'm Dembo. Jane peeked out. You're the one my mama helps. I am. She's very good at her job. She's good at everything. Fierce loyalty. Jang smiled. A real smile, unguarded. I agree. He showed Jane the garden, pointed out the koi. She was entranced, pressing her face close to the water. What are their names? They don't have names. That's sad. Things should have names. She pointed at the largest koi, gold and white. That one's Mango. Mango? Because he's orange like a mango. Jang laughed. Actually laughed. Gianna stared, shocked by the transformation, the hard lines of his face softening, eyes crinkling at the corners. He looked 10 years younger. Jane named all 15 koi. Jang listened patiently, solemnly agreeing with each choice. When Mrs. Lim brought tea, Jane asked, Do you have any little girls here? No, Jang said. Just me. Don't you get lonely? Gianna started to intervene. Jane, that's personal. But Jang held up a hand. Yes, he told Jane honestly. I do get lonely. You should get a dog. Dogs are good for lonely. I'll consider it. Later, while Jane drew pictures at the kitchen table under Mrs. Lim's watchful eye, Gianna and Jang retreated to his study. She's remarkable, Jang said. You should be proud. I am. Gianna hesitated. She asked why you don't see your son. What did you tell her? That it's complicated. Good answer. He sat heavily. My wife, Stephen's mother, she was the bridge between us. She knew sign language fluently. She translated everything. When she died, the bridge collapsed. I tried to learn signing, but I was building the business, dealing with threats, and I was too proud to admit I was failing as a father. So I sent him to Korea. Told myself it was for his safety. Really, it was cowardice. Have you tried to reach out? He won't answer my calls. I send money, tuition, living expenses. He sends it back. He doesn't want my money. He wants a father. And I don't know how to be that anymore. Gianna moved closer. Zhang, you're not dead yet. You still have time. Do I? Someone's trying to kill me. Min Wang almost died. You and Jane are here now, in my world. Because I hired you. What happens when the traitor decides you're a loose end? Ice flooded her veins. Are we in danger? I have guards on your apartment building. Watchers at Jane's school. But yes, The safest thing would be for you to quit, take what I've paid you, and disappear. Is that what you want? What I want is irrelevant. He looked at her, and something raw flickered in his eyes. What's safe is what matters. Let me decide what's safe for my daughter. Can you live with that choice if I'm wrong? Gianna thought about the apartment, the school, the money that had pulled them from drowning. Thought about this complicated, dangerous man who laughed at her daughter's joke and mourned his failure as a father. Thought about the way her pulse kicked up when he looked at her like he was looking at her now. Yes, she said, I can live with it. You're either very brave or very foolish. Jane said the same thing, about love. The words hung between them. Jang's expression shifted. Surprise, wariness, something that might have been hope. Gianna. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Hello? Miss Coffee. A man's voice, cultured, unfamiliar. You don't know me, but I know you. You saved Dembo Jang's life. Admirable, but you've made yourself a problem. Her blood went cold. Who is this? Someone who wants Jang dead. And now, unfortunately, that extends to you. And to Jane. Sweet girl. 3rd grade at Willow Academy. Mrs. Benson's class. She likes strawberry yogurt for lunch. Gianna's vision tunneled. If you touch her, I won't have to. You're going to do exactly as I say. You're going to stop investigating. You're going to tell Jang you're quitting. And you're going to disappear. Do that. And Jane gets to grow up. You have 24 hours. The line went dead. Gianna's hands shook so badly she dropped the phone. Jang was beside her instantly. What happened? He knows about Jane. He threatened her. Oh God, he knows what school she goes to. What she eats for lunch. Jang grabbed his phone, barked orders in Korean. Within seconds. I've got 4 men heading to her school now. She's in class. She's safe. For how long? He's watching her, Jang. He's been watching us. We'll move her. New school, new identity if necessary. No. Gianna's voice cracked. She's 9 years old. I can't uproot her entire life because I made a stupid choice to work for you. Then what do you want to do? She looked at him. This man who'd brought danger into her life and safety in equal measure. I don't know. Jang's expression hardened. I know. You're going to take Jane and go to a safe house. 24-hour security. You're going to stay there while I find who made that call and eliminate the threat. Eliminate? Yes. You mean kill them? If necessary. Gianna should have been horrified. She wasn't. She was relieved. Okay. Okay? Find them. Do what you have to do. Just keep my daughter safe. He pulled her into his arms. Unexpected, but she didn't resist. He smelled like expensive cologne and the garden's jasmine. She felt his heartbeat against her cheek, steady and strong. A heart she'd restarted. I'll keep her safe, he murmured into her hair. I promise. It was a promise that would cost him everything. The safe house was a fortress. Concrete bunker disguised as a residential home tucked in the hills above Pasadena. Bulletproof windows, reinforced doors. Security system designed by paranoid professionals. Jane thought it was an adventure. Are we camping, Mama? Something like that, baby. 4 guards rotated shifts. Haewon himself supervised, stone-faced, terrifying, but surprisingly gentle with Jane. He taught her basic self-defense moves, framing it as a game. If someone grabs your arm, you pull like this and run. Jane giggled, thinking it was fun. Gianna aged a decade every hour. Jang called 3 times a day. Progress reports. Tracking the call, reviewing security footage, interrogating associates. He was getting closer. On the 3rd night he called with an update. We traced the call to a burner phone purchased in Venice Beach. Security footage shows Ian Vey buying it. Gianna's breath caught. Ian? Your financial officer? I've been reviewing his files. He's been skimming for months. Small amounts, carefully hidden. Totals nearly $2 million. When I started investigating after the poisoning, he panicked. Tried to kill me before I found the evidence. So it's over? You found him? We're moving on his location now. He's holed up in a warehouse he thinks I don't know about. By morning, this will be finished. Jang, be careful. A pause. Why, Gianna? So you can continue collecting your paycheck? You know that's not why. Another pause. Longer. Yes. I know. The line went dead. Gianna couldn't sleep. She paced the safe house, checked on Jane a dozen times, drove Haewon crazy with questions. At 3 a.m. her phone buzzed. Text from Yang. It's done. Ian is dead. You're safe. Relief crashed through her, followed by a nauseating twist of guilt. A man was dead because she'd helped investigate him. She'd contributed to his execution. She texted back, "Are you safe?" His response took 5 minutes. "Yes. Coming to get you in the morning." Gianna finally slept. She woke to chaos. Haewon was shouting in Korean, phone pressed to his ear. The other guards were suiting up, tactical gear, automatic weapons. One of them pushed Gianna back into the bedroom. "Stay with the girl, lock the door." "What's happening?" Ian had a contingency plan. If he died, someone else activates. Activates what? A kidnapping. Gianna's world tilted. Jane. She's safe here. It's not her they're coming for. Then who? But she already knew. Steven, Jang's son. She called Jang. He answered on the first ring. "Gianna, I'm on my way." "They're coming for Steven, aren't they?" Silence. Then, "Yes. Ian sent a team to Seoul. They took Steven 3 hours ago. I just found out." "Oh God." "I'm flying to Korea tonight. Haewon will keep you safe." "Jang, wait. I have to go. My son is being held by people who want to hurt me, and I'm the only one who can get him back. Let me help." "You are helping. You're staying alive." His voice cracked just slightly. "Please, Gianna. Stay alive." He hung up. The next 3 days were agony. Jang went dark. No calls, no texts. Haewon had limited information. Jang was in Seoul, negotiating for Steven's release. The kidnappers wanted money and Jang's business territories. Jang was offering both. But there was a complication. Ian hadn't been working alone. Someone else in Yang's organization had helped him. Someone still embedded, feeding information to the kidnappers. On the 4th day, Gianna's phone rang. Unknown number again. Her stomach dropped. "Hello? Ms. Coffee." Different voice this time. Female. "Ian is dead, but his work continues." "Who is this?" "An old friend of Dembo's." "Tell me, has he mentioned Christine Vega?" "The lawyer." Gianna's mind raced. "Yes." "Did he mention we were lovers? That he chose his empire over me, married a deaf woman for a political alliance, broke my heart?" "Oh no. Christine, I've been planning this for 5 years. Ian was useful, greedy, resentful, easy to manipulate. But he was sloppy. Got caught. Now I have to improvise." "What do you want?" "Leverage. See, Dembo's in Seoul trying to save his son. But he doesn't know I have something even more valuable. Not Steven. Someone closer." Ice flooded Gianna's veins. "If you touch Jane, Jane's safe. For now. But there's another child in Dembo's life now. One he cares about deeply. He barely knows Jane. She's not leverage. I'm not talking about Jane." Christine's voice was silk over steel. "I'm talking about the 7-year-old boy you saved. Steve. The one you think you failed." Everything stopped. "How do you—" "I know everything about you, Gianna, including where Steve lives now. His mother works 2 jobs. He's home alone after school. Very vulnerable." "You're lying." "Am I? Check your email." Gianna pulled up her email with shaking hands. New message, no subject. Photo attachment. A boy at a bus stop, thin and small, with a medical alert bracelet visible on his wrist. Steve. Older now, but unmistakably him. "You're a monster," Gianna whispered. I'm a woman scorned. There's a difference. Now listen carefully. You're going to call Dembo and tell him to stop negotiating for Steven. Tell him to surrender himself to my people. If he complies, I release both boys. If he doesn't, I kill Steve and send Steven home in pieces. You have 1 hour. The line went dead. Gianna couldn't breathe. Steve, the boy she'd tried to save, the boy whose brain damage had haunted her for 3 years, was in danger because of her. Because she'd gotten involved with Zhang. Because everything she touched turned to ash. Heywan entered the room. Who was that? Christine. She's the traitor. She has a child. Gianna's voice broke. She's going to kill him if Zhang doesn't surrender. Heywan's expression went cold. We contact Zhang immediately. And tell him what? That he has to choose between his son and some random kid he's never met? That's exactly what we tell him. He'll choose Steven. I can't ask him to do that. You don't have a choice. But she did. God help her, she did. Gianna looked at Haiwan. Where is Christine? Right now? Unknown. Why? Because I'm not calling Yang. I'm ending this myself. Haiwan stared at her like she'd lost her mind. You're a civilian. You're not trained for... I'm a mother who won't let a child die because I'm too scared to act. Gianna's voice was steel. Christine wants leverage. She's expecting me to call Zhang and break him. What she's not expecting is for me to show up and offer myself instead. That's suicide. That's negotiation. She wants to hurt Yang through the people he cares about. I'm one of those people now. So I'll trade. Me for Steve. She gets better leverage. The woman Zhang's feelings are complicated about. And the kid goes free. And then what? She kills you? Probably. But Zhang will know it's Christine. He'll have a clear target. Steven gets released as part of the deal. And you all can extract me before she follows through. That's a terrible plan. It's the only plan I have. Gianna grabbed her phone. I'm calling her back. She did. Christine answered immediately. Ms. Coffee, have you delivered my message? I have a counteroffer. I'm listening. Release Steve. I'll come to you instead. Better leverage. Zhang actually knows me. Cares about me. A random child means nothing to him. A long pause. Then softly, you'd trade yourself for a child you failed? The words hit like bullets, but Gianna forced her voice steady. I'd trade myself to stop you from hurting innocent people. Fascinating. You're either brave or incredibly stupid. Does it matter? Christine laughed. No, I suppose it doesn't. Fine, here's the deal. Come alone to the address I'm sending. If I see security, if I see Heywan's people, if I even smell a trap, Steve dies. Understood? Understood. But you release him first. I see him walk away, then I come in. You're not in a position to negotiate terms. Yes, I am. Because if you kill him before I arrive, I call Zhang and warn him it's you. Your whole plan collapses. You need me complicit. Another pause. You're smarter than I gave you credit for. Fine. Steve walks when you arrive, but you walk in immediately after. No hesitation. Agreed. The address came through. An abandoned factory in Vernon. Industrial wasteland where screams wouldn't carry. Heywan blocked the door. I can't let you do this. You work for Yang. I don't. You can't stop me. He'll kill me if something happens to you. Then make sure something doesn't happen. Give me 30 minutes, then come in. Track my phone. She grabbed her medical bag. Stupid, but she might need it. And Heywan, tell Zhang. Tell him I'm sorry. For all of this. She walked out before he could stop her. The drive to Vernon took 20 minutes. Gianna's hands were steady on the wheel, but her mind was screaming. This was insane. This was suicide. This was the right thing to do. Steve had suffered because of her CPR, and now he was in danger because she'd helped Zhang. She owed him this. She owed him more than this. The factory was rust and broken windows, surrounded by chain link. A single car in the lot. Black sedan. Engine running. Gianna parked and texted the number Christine had called from. I'm here. Response. Walk to the east entrance. Alone. Gianna left her phone in the car, tracking device for Haiwan, and walked. The east entrance was a rusted metal door. She pushed it open. Inside, darkness cut by industrial lights, concrete floor, abandoned machinery, the smell of oil and decay. And there, in the center, Steve. He was tied to a chair, head down, small body shaking, but alive. Steve, Gianna started forward. Stop. Christine stepped from the shadows. She was elegant even here. Designer suit, perfect hair, holding a gun like she knew how to use it. We had a deal. Release him. Christine circled Steve, gun never wavering from Gianna. You really think you can save him twice? I'm going to try. How noble. How utterly pointless. Christine crouched beside Steve, pressed the gun to his temple. He whimpered. Do you know what Dembo told me the night he ended our relationship? He said, I can't love someone who wants to burn the world. But he was wrong. He burned my world. Now I'm returning the favor. By hurting children? That's not burning his world. That's proving you're exactly what he said you were. Christine's eyes flashed. Careful, Ms. Coffee. Or what? You'll shoot me? You need me alive for leverage. I need you alive for now. Doesn't mean I can't hurt you. She stood, aimed the gun at Steve. Watching a child die because of you? That's a special kind of pain. Let's see how you handle it this time. No! Gianna lunged. The gun went off. But Steve was already moving. Ropes cut, not tied. He rolled away. The bullet sparked off concrete. Haiwan and 4 men burst through 3 different entrances. It was a setup. Gianna had been bait. Christine spun, firing wildly. Haiwan returned fire. Gianna threw herself over Steve, covering his small body with hers. Gunfire like thunder, shouting in Korean. Then silence. Gianna looked up. Christine was on the ground, 2 bullets in her chest, eyes wide with shock. Blood pooling. Haiwan approached. Gun trained on her. Clear. Christine coughed, blood on her lips. Looked at Gianna. You really would have died for him. Yes. Then you're a fool. She smiled, red teeth. Just like Dembo. She died still smiling. Gianna helped Steve up. He was crying, traumatized, but alive. She checked him over with shaking hands. No injuries. You're okay. You're safe. Who are you? He whispered. Someone who owed you a second chance. The boy who'd haunted her nightmares was safe, but she'd walked into gunfire to do it. Had become the kind of person who made deals with murderers and walked into traps. Jang had changed her, or maybe she'd changed herself. Haiwan was on the phone, reporting to Jung in rapid Korean. Then he handed the phone to Gianna. He wants to speak to you. She took it. Hello? What the hell were you thinking? Jung's voice was fury and fear. You could have died. But I didn't. That's not the point. He choked on words. Gianna, I can't lose you. Her heart stuttered. You don't have me. Don't I? The question hung between them, heavy with everything unspoken. Stephen? She asked quietly. Being released as we speak. Christine's people are standing down. It's over. Good. Come to the estate when you're cleared. We need to talk. About what? About why you'd risk your life for a child you don't know. About why I can't stop thinking about you. About what happens next. Gianna closed her eyes. Jung? Come to the estate, Gianna, please. She agreed because she was weak. Because she wanted to see him. Because something had shifted between them, and running from it felt like cowardice. Moments like these, when everything hangs in the balance, when a mother's worst nightmare becomes real. This is why we tell these stories. Because life isn't simple, and neither are the choices we make when someone we love is in danger. If you're feeling this as deeply as I am, do me a favor. Hit that like button. It tells me these stories matter to you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Because what happens in the rescue mission will break your heart and put it back together in ways you never expected. I promise you, you need to see this through to the end. Gianna returned to the estate at dawn. Jane was still asleep at the safe house. Gianna had decided to see Young alone first. To finish whatever conversation they were about to have without her daughter witnessing her mother's complicated feelings about a dangerous man. Mrs. Lim let her in without comment, just a knowing look that made Gianna's cheeks burn. Jang was in the garden, standing by the koi pond. He still wore the same clothes from Seoul, wrinkled suit, exhaustion carved into every line of his face. But when he turned and saw her, something in his expression broke open. He crossed the distance between them in 4 strides and pulled her into his arms. "You're alive," he murmured into her hair. "You're safe. So are you. Because you risked everything." He pulled back, hands framing her face. "Do you understand what you've done? You saved Stephen without ever meeting him. You saved a child who haunted you. You walked into gunfire, for me. For my failures. Not for your failures, for what was right." "Gianna," his voice cracked. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not." He laughed, raw and surprised. Then his expression turned serious. "Stephen's arriving tomorrow. I'm flying him here instead of sending him back to Korea. I'm going to learn sign language properly. I'm going to be the father I should have been 10 years ago." "That's good." "It's terrifying." He searched her eyes. "But you make me want to try. You make me want to be better than I am. Jung, I'm falling in love with you." He said it plainly, like a confession and a warning. "I know it's wrong. I know I've put you in danger. I know you're only here because I hired you, but I need you to know. What I feel isn't about gratitude or convenience. It's about you. Who you are. Your courage, your compassion. The way you fight for people even when it costs you everything." Gianna's breath caught. "I have a daughter." "I know. You're a criminal." "I know. This is a terrible idea." "I know." He smiled, sad and hopeful. "But tell me you don't feel it too. She should lie. Should protect herself, protect Jane, protect them both from the inevitable heartbreak. But standing here, in this garden where Jane had named his koi, with this man who'd shown her she could still save lives, she couldn't lie. "I feel it," she whispered. "God help me. I feel it too." He kissed her. Slow and careful, like she was precious. She tasted desperation and hope, and 3 years of grief dissolving. When they broke apart, tears tracked down her face. "What do we do now?" she asked. "We try. We see if this impossible thing can somehow work." Over the next month, they tried. Stephen arrived, a beautiful young man with his father's eyes and his mother's gentle spirit. Gianna learned basic Korean sign language through online courses and practiced with him. He was wary at first, suspicious of this American woman in his father's life. But when she told him, through fumbling signs, "Your father talks about you constantly. He regrets every day you were apart." Stephen's walls cracked. The 3 of them, 4 with Jane, became an unlikely family. Stephen taught Jane origami. Jane taught Stephen slang. Jung watched them together with an expression of wonder, like he couldn't believe this was his life now. But darkness lingered. Jang's business required attention. Rivals tested his weakened position after Ian and Christine's betrayals. He had to remind people he was still dangerous, still in control. Gianna tried not to think about what that meant, tried not to ask where he went on certain nights when he came home with blood on his cuffs, until the night he collapsed in the foyer. Gianna was putting Jane to bed when Mrs. Lim screamed. She ran downstairs to find Young on the floor, seizing, foam at his lips. "Not again, not again." She dropped to her knees, checked his pulse, erratic, his breathing, shallow. His skin was gray, pupils blown. "Call 911, she shouted at Mrs. Lim. "No hospitals?" Haewon barked. "He's dying. Call Dr. Park. He'll come here." Gianna started CPR, the nightmare replaying. 90 seconds, her hands on his chest, pumping, counting, breathing into his mouth. But this time was different. This time she was saving someone she loved. "Don't you dare die on me," she sobbed. "Dembo, don't you dare." His heart stuttered. Restarted. He gasped, eyes flying open. "Gianna?" Confused, terrified. "I'm here, you're okay." Dr. Park arrived, a nervous Korean man with a medical bag. He examined Jang while Gianna hovered. "Poison again?" she demanded. "No. Cardiac event. Stress-induced, likely. His heart is damaged from the original poisoning. Scar tissue affecting electrical conductivity." "Meaning?" "Meaning he needs surgery to install a defibrillator. Meaning his heart is weak. Meaning stress could kill him." Gianna looked at Yang. He met her eyes, understanding passing between them. His lifestyle, the violence, the pressure, the constant threat, was killing him. "I'm not giving up my business," Jang said quietly. "Then you're choosing death," Dr. Park replied. "It's not that simple." "Yes, it is." Gianna's voice was hard. "You finally have Stephen back. You have whatever this is between us, and you're going to throw it away for what? Territory? Money? Pride? It's not pride, it's survival. If I show weakness, I'm dead within a month." "You're dead within a month anyway if you don't get surgery and reduce stress." They stared at each other, the impossible choice laid bare. Zhang looked away first. "I'll have the surgery." "And after?" "I don't know." The surgery happened a week later. Gianna held his hand in pre-op, kissed his forehead, whispered, "Come back to me." "Always," he promised. He survived, but recovery was brutal. 6 weeks of limited activity, no stress, constant monitoring. Gianna moved into the estate to care for him. Jane came every day after school. Stephen learned to cook Korean dishes for his father. They were a family. Weird, blended, born from violence and tragedy, but a family. Until the night everything fell apart. Zhang received a call from a rival organization. They'd found evidence that Christine had been working with them before her death, selling Zhang's secrets, planning to destabilize his entire operation. They wanted a meeting. Neutral ground, public place, a gala fundraiser for a children's hospital, black tie, next Saturday. "It's a trap," Gianna said immediately. "Probably, but if I don't go, they'll see it as weakness. The vultures will circle." "Then let them circle. You almost died 6 weeks ago." "And I'll almost die 6 weeks from now if I don't maintain my position." He cupped her face. "I'll be careful, I promise." "Your promises don't stop bullets." "No, but Haewon's security team does." Gianna wanted to forbid him, wanted to beg him to walk away from all of it. But she had no right. She wasn't his wife, wasn't even officially his girlfriend. She was the woman he loved and the woman who loved him, trapped in an impossible situation. "I'm coming with you," she said. "Absolutely not." "You need a date. Rich people don't go to galas alone. I'll be your cover. The respectable girlfriend, totally non-threatening. They'll underestimate me." "Gianna, I'm coming." End of discussion. He knew better than to argue with her. The night of the gala, Gianna wore a dress Jang had bought her, midnight blue silk that made her skin glow. Jane had helped with her makeup, serious and focused like a little artist. "You look like a princess, Mama." "I feel like I'm going to throw up." "Princesses don't throw up," Jane said solemnly. Stephen signed something. Jang translated. "He says you look beautiful. And that I should tell you I'm scared too, so you don't feel alone." Gianna smiled at Stephen, signed back carefully. "Thank you." The gala was held at a downtown hotel, opulent, dripping with wealth. Gianna felt wildly out of place among women in jewels that cost more than her education. But Zhang's hand was steady at the small of her back, grounding her. "Remember," he murmured, We're here to be seen, to show strength through normalcy. And if someone tries to kill you, then you run. Promise me." She didn't promise. The evening was surreal. Gianna made small talk with people who had no idea the man beside her was a crime lord. She danced with Yang, a slow waltz that felt both ordinary and momentous. He held her like she was the only solid thing in a tilting world. "I love you," he said against her ear. "I love you too. Which is why I'm terrified you're going to die tonight." "I won't die tonight." "How do you know?" "Because I have too much to live for now." They met with the rival organization's representative, a cold-eyed Korean woman named Ms. Park. She and Yang spoke in Korean, too rapid for Gianna to follow, but the tension was clear. Negotiations, threats, barely concealed violence. Then Ms. Park smiled. "And this must be the famous Gianna Coffee, the waitress who saved your life." "Former waitress," Gianna said coolly. "Of course. Now you're—" "What?" "His nurse? His mistress? His partner?" Ms. Park's smile widened. "How modern. Tell me, Ms. Coffee, what does your daughter think of your new arrangement?" "Jane, isn't it? 9 years old?" Ice flooded Gianna's veins. Don't what?" "I'm simply curious how you explain to a child that mommy's boyfriend is a killer." Jang's voice was arctic. "This meeting is over." "Not quite." Ms. Park gestured. 2 men appeared from the crowd, security, built like tanks. "We have a proposition. You retire, Dembo. Walk away from the business. We absorb your territories peacefully. You get to live out your days with your lovely family. Everyone wins." "And if I refuse?" "Then we make sure your family understands the cost of your ambition." Jang moved faster than Gianna had ever seen him move. 1 second, Ms. Park was smiling. The next, Jang had her wrist in a grip that made her gasp, bending it at an angle that promised breaking. "If you threaten them again," Jang said softly, "I won't negotiate. I won't meet. I'll burn your entire organization to the ground and sleep peacefully after." Ms. Park laughed through her pain. "You're in love. That's a weakness, Dembo. I'm almost sad for you." He released her. "Get out." She did, flanked by her men, but the damage was done. Gianna had been named, marked, identified as leverage. On the drive home, neither of them spoke. When they arrived at the estate, Yang said, "Pack your things. You and Jane are leaving Los Angeles." "What?" "I'll set you up somewhere safe. New identities. Enough money to start over. You'll be protected. But you can't stay here." "You're sending us away." "I'm keeping you alive." Gianna grabbed his face, forced him to look at her. "I didn't fall in love with you to run when things get hard. You fell in love with me before you understood what it meant." "I understood perfectly. I just didn't care." She kissed him, desperate. "We'll figure this out." "There's nothing to figure out. As long as you're connected to me, you're in danger. And I can't." His phone rang. He answered. "What?" Haewon's voice, barely controlled panic. "They took Jane." The world stopped. Gianna's scream tore from her throat. "No. No, no, no." Jang was already moving, barking orders in Korean. Haewon was still talking. From the safe house, 30 minutes ago, 2 men dressed as utility workers. Mrs. Bruce tried to stop them, but they knocked her unconscious. Gianna couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Her baby. Her 9-year-old baby in the hands of monsters. Jang gripped her shoulders. "Listen to me. We will get her back. Do you understand? We will get her back." "How?" "They have her. They have my daughter. And they're going to call with demands. When they do, we'll negotiate. And while we negotiate, we'll track them. We'll find her. I promise you." "Your promises don't mean anything. You said she was safe. You said—" The phone rang. Unknown number. Jang answered, put it on speaker. Ms. Park's voice. "Good evening again, Dembo. I trust you've noticed your little Jane is missing? If you hurt her, I won't have to." You're going to do exactly as I say. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., you're going to walk into the federal building downtown and confess to every crime you've ever committed. You're going to give them names, locations, evidence. You're going to dismantle your own organization. And then? Then Jane comes home, but only after you're in custody. Only after you've destroyed everything you've built. Zhang looked at Gianna. She saw the calculation in his eyes, weighing his empire against one little girl. It wasn't even a contest. Fine, he said. Dembo, no! Ms. Park laughed. Oh, this is delicious. The great Dembo Zhang, brought low by a child that isn't even his. Where do I go? I'll text you the location for the exchange. Come alone. If I see Heiwan, if I see anyone from your organization, Jane dies. Understood? Understood. The line went dead. Gianna collapsed. Zhang caught her, held her while she sobbed. I can't lose her. I can't. She's everything. I know. And we're not going to lose her. You're going to walk into a federal building and confess to murder. They'll lock you away forever. Worth it. Dembo. Gianna. He tilted her face up. I told you once, I've done terrible things, hurt people who didn't deserve it. Maybe this is my chance to balance the scales, to do one unquestionably good thing. Saving Jane, that's worth everything. She kissed him through tears, tasted salt and desperation. I love you. I love you too. More than I thought I could love anything. They had 8 hours until the exchange. Zhang spent them planning. Heiwan mobilized every resource, tracking Jane's phone, turned off, checking traffic cameras, calling in favors from contacts in law enforcement. At 3 a.m., they got a hit. Jane's phone had pinged a cell tower in the industrial district. Same area where Christine had held Steve. They're using Christine's old locations, Zhang said, which means someone from her network is working with Ms. Park. Heiwan pulled up files. Christine had a partner, Theodore Vargas, ex-military, explosives expert. He disappeared after her death, likely hired by Ms. Park to finish what Christine started. So we find Vargas, we find Jane. And we have... Heiwan checked his watch. 6 hours to do it. They found him through his girlfriend, a cocktail waitress who Heiwan persuaded to give up Vargas's location. An abandoned textile factory in Vernon, guarded but not heavily. Ms. Park was confident Zhang would surrender peacefully. She was wrong. At 8 a.m., Zhang laid out the plan. I go in the front as expected. Draw their attention. Heiwan and his team extract Jane from the back. Gianna, you stay in the car. Not a chance. Gianna. That's my daughter. I'm not sitting in a car while you risk your life for her. You're not trained. Neither is she, so I'm coming. You can waste time arguing or we can go get her. Zhang looked at Heiwan. Teach her to shoot. 10 minutes of crash course firearm training in a parking lot. Gianna's hands shook, but her aim was steady. Point, breathe, squeeze, don't jerk, don't hesitate. What if I hit someone? Then they probably deserved it, Heiwan said grimly. They approached the factory at 9:30 a.m. Gray sky, morning fog, the smell of rust and desperation. 4 guards outside, armed, alert. Zhang walked up to them openly, hands visible. I'm here for the exchange. Tell Ms. Park. They patted him down, took his phone, led him inside. Heiwan and his team moved like ghosts around the perimeter. Gianna followed, gun heavy in her waistband. Her heart thundered. 90 seconds. That's all it would take. 90 seconds to storm in, grab Jane, get out. If everything went perfectly, it didn't. Zhang was led to a central room, cavernous, full of old machinery. Ms. Park stood in the center, Jane beside her. Jane was crying, terrified but alive, unharmed. Mama! She screamed when she saw Zhang. Quiet! Ms. Park snapped. She pressed a gun to Jane's head. Dembo! So good of you to arrive on time. Let her go. I'm here. I'll confess to everything. Just let her go. Oh, I will. After you're in custody. But first, she smiled. I want you to know something. This, all of this, it's not about business. It's not about territories. It's personal. What are you talking about? My brother. Do you remember him? Lee Park? You killed him 5 years ago in a dispute over shipping routes. Jang's face went blank. Lee Park was stealing from me, selling my shipments to competitors. He was desperate. His family was starving, and you... Her voice broke. You shot him in the street like a dog. I didn't know he had a sister. You didn't care, just like you don't care about anyone except yourself. Until her. She gestured at Jane. Until this child made you vulnerable, made you human. So now you'll know what I felt. Watching someone you love die. She aimed the gun at Yang. Jane screamed. Jana burst through the side door, her gun up. No! Ms. Park spun. Her finger squeezed the trigger. 3 things happened simultaneously. Gianna fired, hit Ms. Park in the shoulder. Ms. Park fired, hit Jang in the chest. Haewon's team breached. Gunfire erupting from all directions. Jang went down. Gianna ran to him, skidding on her knees. Blood pooled beneath him, spreading fast. No, 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 Dembo, stay with me. He coughed blood. Jane. She's safe. Haewon has her. Gianna ripped open his shirt. 3 bullets. Chest, abdomen, shoulder. Catastrophic bleeding. Oh God. Gianna. His eyes were already dimming. Don't talk. Save your strength. She pressed her hands to the chest wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Blood poured between her fingers, hot and terrifying. Jane appeared beside her, Haewon carrying her. Mama, is he dying? Not if I can help it. Gianna looked at Haewon. Call an ambulance. Now. They're 8 minutes out. 8 minutes. He didn't have 8 minutes. Gianna tilted Jang's head back, checked his airway. Still breathing. Barely. Pulse thready. She needed to stop the bleeding. Needed to. His pulse stopped. No. Gianna positioned her hands on his chest, started compressions. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not again. Not again. Not this man she loved. 28, 29, 30. She bent to breathe into his mouth. Tasted blood. Breathed anyway. Back to compressions. Her arms burned, tears blurred her vision. Mama, you're hurting him. I'm saving him. Gianna sobbed, counted, pumped. Breathe, damn you, breathe. 90 seconds, 120, 150. His chest heaved, blood burbled in his throat, but his heart restarted, weak, but there. Stay with me, Gianna whispered, hands still on his chest. Dembo, please, stay with me. His eyes fluttered open, found hers. Love. You. I love you too. So you have to live. You hear me? You have to live. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics took over, loaded Jiang onto a stretcher. Gianna climbed in beside him, holding his hand. Jane was right behind her, Haewon carrying her. Is he going to die? Jane asked, small voice breaking. Gianna looked at her daughter, then at the man on the stretcher. Not if we can help it. If you felt that, and I know you did, then you understand why I do this. These stories aren't easy to tell, but they're necessary. They remind us what we're capable of. Courage, sacrifice, love that transcends impossibility. Gianna just saved the man who saved her, but the price of survival? You're about to see that the hardest part isn't dying, it's living with goodbye. If this story has moved you, show it some love. Like this video. Leave a comment about what hit you hardest, and subscribe, because I've got more stories that will make you feel alive. Stay with me. There's still one more moment you need to see. Jang survived surgery. Barely. 3 bullets removed. 1 collapsed lung reinflated. 14 units of blood. 2 cardiac arrests on the operating table. The surgeon came out after 7 hours and told Gianna, he's alive, but he's critical. The next 48 hours will determine if he makes it. Gianna sat in the ICU waiting room with Jane curled against her side, asleep finally after hours of crying. Heywan stood guard by the door. Stephen was on his way from the estate, having been kept away from the violence but now rushing to his father's side. When they finally let her in to see him, Gianna almost broke. Zhang looked small in the hospital bed, a man who commanded rooms reduced to tubes and monitors and the steady beep of machines keeping him alive. His skin was gray. Breathing tube down his throat. Bandages wrapping his chest. She took his hand carefully, avoiding the IV lines. "Hey, it's me. You scared the hell out of me back there." No response, just the machines breathing for him. "Jane's okay," Gianna continued, voice thick. "Scared, but okay. She's asking for you. Keep saying you're her hero." Which is true. You are. The ventilator hissed. His heart monitor beeped steadily. "You have to wake up, Dembo. Stephen's coming. You finally have a chance to be the father you wanted to be. You can't waste it now." His fingers twitched. Maybe reflex. Maybe something more. Gianna stayed until the nurses kicked her out, returned the next morning with Jane, who'd insisted on coming. "Can I talk to him?" Jane whispered, staring at all the tubes. "Yes, baby. He can probably hear you." Jane approached the bed carefully, took Zhang's hand in both of hers. "Mr. Zhang? It's me, Jane. You got shot saving me. My mama says that makes you a hero." I think she's right. She pulled something from her pocket, an origami crane, carefully folded from yellow paper, placed it on his bedside table. "That's for good luck. You taught me how to make them, remember? You have to wake up so I can show you I got better at it." A tear tracked down her cheek. She looked at Gianna. "Is he going to die, Mama?" "I don't know, baby. But you saved him before? Can you save him again?" "I'm trying. We all are." Stephen arrived that afternoon, red-eyed, devastated. He signed something to Gianna. Her Korean sign language was still basic, but she understood. "This is my fault. I'm the reason he was targeted." She signed back. "No. He chose to save you because he loves you. That's not fault. That's love." Stephen sat beside his father's bed and signed to him for an hour. Stories from his childhood, memories of his mother, apologies for years of silence. Gianna watched from the doorway, tears streaming. This was what Yang had wanted. Connection with his son. He was finally getting it, and he was too broken to experience it. On the third day, Zhang opened his eyes. Gianna was alone with him when it happened. She'd been reading aloud from a Korean novel Stephen had brought, stumbling through the pronunciation when his fingers squeezed hers. She looked up. His eyes were open, unfocused but aware. "Dembo?" She pressed the call button for the nurse. "Hey, you're awake. You're okay." He tried to speak around the breathing tube. Couldn't. "Don't talk. You've got a tube. They'll remove it soon. Just know that you're safe. Jane's safe. Stephen's here. Everyone's okay." He squeezed her hand again. His eyes said what his mouth couldn't. "Thank you." The breathing tube came out that evening. Zhang's first words, voice raw and broken. "Jane? Safe. Traumatized but safe. She made you an origami crane." He smiled slightly, winced at the pain. "Stephen? Here every day. He's been talking to you, telling you stories. I heard. Some of it." His eyes found hers. "You performed CPR again." "Yeah. Saved me. Again. That's becoming a habit." "Gianna." He coughed, grimacing. "What happened to Ms. Park?" "Dead. Heywan's people made sure of it." "Good." No remorse in his voice. Just satisfaction. "And Jane? How is she handling it?" "She thinks you're a superhero. You took bullets for her. In her mind, you're basically Superman. I'm a criminal who got a 9-year-old kidnapped. You're a man who sacrificed everything to get her back. There's a difference." He closed his eyes. "I'm tired, Gianna. So tired. Then rest. I'll be here when you wake up. Will you?" He looked at her. After this? After everything I've put you and Jane through? Yes, if you'll have us. Always. Recovery was slow, brutal. Weeks in the hospital, then weeks at the estate with round-the-clock nursing care. Gianna supervised everything, her EMT training finally useful in ways that didn't haunt her. Stephen barely left his father's side. They communicated in sign language. Jang had been taking intensive lessons even from his hospital bed, determined to finally speak his son's language. One evening, Gianna walked into the garden and found them sitting by the koi pond, hands moving in fluid conversation. Stephen was laughing. Jang was smiling. Genuinely, deeply. She didn't interrupt. Just watched this small miracle of reconciliation. But storms were coming. The FBI had been investigating Ms. Park's organization. They'd found evidence linking her to Christine, linking Christine to Ian, and all of them to Yang. They wanted testimony. They wanted names. They wanted Zhang to cooperate. If I testify, Zhang told Gianna one night, I'll need witness protection, new identity. I'll have to disappear. Her stomach dropped. For how long? Permanently. The word hung between them like a blade. What about Stephen? He can come with me. New identity, new life. He's young enough to start over. And us? Her voice was barely a whisper. Jang's expression cracked. You can't come. Jane has school, friends, a life here. Asking you to disappear would destroy her. And I can't do that to her. Not after everything. So this is it? You testify and I never see you again? I don't know what else to do. If I don't testify, they'll charge me with conspiracy to murder Ms. Park's brother. I'll go to prison. Either way, I lose you. Gianna wanted to scream, wanted to demand he find another way, but there was no other way. He'd killed people, hurt people. The bill was due. How long do we have? She asked. 3 months, until the trial. 3 months to love him. 3 months to say goodbye. They made the most of it. Family dinners with Stephen and Jane, teaching Jane more origami, lazy Sundays in the garden, Jang reading to Jane at bedtime, The Giving Tree, Charlotte's Web, stories about sacrifice and love. Jane asked once, Are you going away, Mr. Jang? He looked at Gianna, then back at Jane. Yes, for a very long time. Why? Because I did some bad things. And now I have to make them right. Will you come back? I don't know, sweetheart. Jane hugged him fiercely. I'll miss you. I'll miss you too. The trial came too fast. Jang testified for 3 days, detailed damning testimony about his own organization and Ms. Park's network. The prosecutors got everything they wanted. In exchange, immunity and witness protection. The night before he left, they had a small gathering. Mrs. Lim cooked a feast. Haewon brought champagne. Stephen gave his father a gift, a photo album of their last 3 months together, captioned in Korean with things like, First time Dad signed I love you without help, and Teaching Jane origami cranes. Jang cried looking through it. Jane gave him her best origami crane, perfect folds, bright red paper. So you don't forget us. I could never forget you, he promised. After Jane was in bed, Gianna and Jang sat in the garden one last time. The koi circled lazily. The moon was full. I don't know how to do this, Gianna said. How to let you go. I don't either. He pulled her close. But I need you to do something for me. What? Live. Fully, completely, without guilt or fear. Go back to being an EMT. Save lives. Let Jane see her mother be the hero she always was. I'm not a hero. You are to me. He kissed her forehead. Thank you, Gianna Coffee, for giving me 90 seconds that became 3 months, for showing me I could still be human, for saving me in every way a person can be saved. I love you, she whispered. I love you too, more than I knew I could love anything. They held each other until dawn. When the federal agents arrived to take him away, Stephen went with him. choosing his father over his old life, choosing the chance to finally have a parent. Jang paused at the door, looked back at Gianna and Jane standing in the foyer. His expression said everything his words couldn't. Then he was gone. Gianna didn't cry until Jane was asleep that night. Then she sobbed into her pillow, grieving a man who was alive but lost to her forever. 6 months later, the ambulance bay at Los Angeles County General was chaos, exactly how Gianna remembered it. She climbed out of the rig, adrenaline still singing through her veins. Her partner, Carlos, grinned at her. "Nice work in there. That guy's alive because of you." "Team effort," she said, but she was smiling. Cardiac arrest, 52-year-old male, found unresponsive in a restaurant. Gianna had performed CPR for 4 minutes before his heart restarted. He'd survive. Might have complications, might have a long recovery, but he'd live, and she'd done that. After 3 years of running from her calling, she was finally back where she belonged. Her supervisor had been skeptical when she'd applied. "You quit after the Steve incident. What makes you think you can handle it now?" "I learned something," Gianna had said. "I learned that saving someone imperfectly is better than not saving them at all. That 90 seconds of trying is worth more than a lifetime of running." They'd hired her on the spot. Jane was thriving. Top of her 4th grade class, captain of the youth soccer team, already talking about becoming a doctor. She'd been in therapy for months after the kidnapping, processing trauma, learning coping mechanisms. But she was resilient, strong. She asked about Yang sometimes. "Do you think he's happy wherever he is?" "I hope so, baby." "Do you miss him?" "Every day." "Me too. But I'm glad he's alive, even if we can't see him." Wisdom from a 9-year-old. Gianna's apartment was modest now. No more luxury penthouse, no more estate access. But it was theirs, paid for with the money Jang had left her. Enough to live comfortably, invest in Jane's education, and start something new. The foundation had been Haiwan's idea. Boss would want his money to mean something, do something with it. So Gianna had started 90 Seconds, a non-profit teaching CPR to underserved communities. They offered free classes, provided certification, and equipped schools and community centers with AEDs. Jane had designed the logo, a stopwatch with a heart. Tonight, Gianna was teaching a class at a rec center in Compton. 20 people showed up, parents, teachers, teenagers. She walked them through chest compressions, rescue breathing, the critical first moments that meant life or death. "You have 90 seconds before brain damage begins," she told them. 90 seconds to make a difference. Don't waste them being scared. Use them to save a life. A young woman raised her hand. "What if I do it wrong? What if I hurt them?" Gianna thought about Steve, about Zhang, about every person she'd saved imperfectly. "Then you hurt them while trying to save them, which is better than doing nothing and letting them die. Trust me on that." After class, a man approached her, early 30s, nervous. "Ms. Coffey, I don't know if you remember me. I'm Steve's older brother, Daniel." Her heart stopped. "Oh my God. How is he?" "Good. Really good. He's in high school now, plays basketball, drives his mom crazy. He's different than he was before the asthma attack. But he's happy, living his life. I'm so glad. I wanted to thank you for saving him back then, and for saving him again, from that kidnapping. He doesn't remember much about it, but we know what you did. Putting yourself in danger for him." Gianna's eyes burned. He deserved someone to fight for him. "So did you. I heard about what you went through. That man you loved. I'm sorry. Thank you. But it's okay. We're okay." Daniel smiled. "Steve wanted me to give you this." He handed her a drawing, crayon and marker, childlike but earnest. It showed a woman performing CPR on a stick figure, with words at the top. "Thank you for giving me more time." Gianna pressed it to her chest. "Tell him I'm proud of him." "I will." She drove home with the drawing on her passenger seat, tears streaming. Healing wasn't linear. Some days she missed Jiang so much she could barely breathe. Some days she was angry at him for leaving. Some days she was grateful for the time they'd had. Tonight was a grateful night. At home, Jane was doing homework at the kitchen table, the same table they'd eaten breakfast at 100 times. Mrs. Bruce was making dinner, having become a permanent part of their little family. "How was class?" Jane asked. "Good. Taught 20 people how to save lives." "You're basically a superhero, Mama." "I learned from the best." Later, after Jane was asleep, Gianna sat in her bedroom and opened the small wooden box she kept in her nightstand. Inside, letters from Yang that had been delivered through Haiwan, who still had limited contact through federal channels. The letters never had return addresses, never mentioned locations, just his thoughts, his life in witness protection, how Stephen was doing. The most recent had arrived a week ago. "Gianna, Stephen started college, art major, specializing in sculpture. He's happy, thriving. We have dinner together every night and he tells me about his day in sign language I finally understand fluently. I think about you constantly. Wonder if Jane still makes origami cranes. Wonder if you went back to saving lives. I hope you did. You were always meant to heal, not hide. I'm not allowed to tell you where I am or who I've become, but I can tell you this. I'm at peace. For the first time in my adult life, I'm at peace. Because of you. Because you showed me what mattered. I love you. I will always love you. But I hope you're building a life that doesn't wait for me. You deserve joy, Gianna, not just memories. Live well. Live fully. And remember, even in darkness, we can choose to be light. Forever yours, D. Gianna folded the letter carefully, placed it back in the box with the others. 23 letters in 6 months. Each one a small piece of him she could hold. She went to her desk and pulled out her own letter. One she'd written but couldn't send because there was no address. She just wrote them anyway, pouring her heart onto paper that would never be read. "Dembo, I'm happy. Not every day, not perfectly, but genuinely happy. Jane is everything you hoped she'd be. Strong, kind, full of life. She talks about you sometimes, always with love. I went back to being an EMT, saved 3 lives this month. Started the foundation. We've trained over 500 people in CPR. I think you'd be proud. I miss you, but I'm not waiting. I'm living, building a life that honors what you gave us. Safety, opportunity, second chances. That's your legacy, Dembo. Not the violence or the mistakes, the love you showed us at the end. Thank you for 90 seconds that changed everything. All my love, Jay." She sealed the letter, added it to the box with the others. Someday, maybe, she'd find a way to send them. Or maybe they'd just sit here, a record of love that existed in the margins. On Saturday morning, Gianna and Jane went to Griffith Park. Their ritual. They walked to a quiet spot overlooking the city, where Jane had decided to create a memorial. No headstone, no plaque, just a small garden of stones and plants that Jane tended carefully. In the center, an origami crane encased in resin, preserved forever. "Hi, Mr. Jang," Jane said softly, kneeling. "It's us again. Mama saved another person this week. She's really good at it. You'd be proud." She pulled out a new origami crane, orange and gold, autumn colors, placed it next to the preserved one. "I'm in advanced math now, and I made the soccer team. And I'm thinking about medical school when I grow up. Because of you and Mama. Because you showed me that helping people is the most important thing." Gianna knelt beside her daughter, put an arm around her shoulders. "What else do you want to tell him?" "That I love him. And I hope he's happy. And that it's okay he had to go away. I understand now. He was protecting us." "He was," Gianna agreed. "And he loved you so much." "I know." Jane leaned against her. Do you think we'll ever see him again? Gianna thought about witness protection, about new identities, about the life Yang was building far away. Probably not, baby. But that's okay. Because the love doesn't go away just because the person does. It stays with us, changes us, makes us better. Like 90 seconds? Exactly like 90 seconds. They sat there as the sun rose higher, casting gold across Los Angeles, a city that had taken so much and given so much back. Below them, millions of people lived their lives, some saved, some saving, all connected by invisible threads of chance and choice. Somewhere in that vast country, Dembo Jiang was alive, healing, being a father, learning to be human again. Somewhere in this city, Gianna Coffey was alive, healing, being a mother and a healer. Teaching others that 90 seconds could change everything. And in the space between them, love persisted. Not perfect, not uncomplicated, but real. Jane stood, brushing off her jeans. "Come on, Mama, let's go get breakfast. Mrs. Bruce is making pancakes." Gianna took her daughter's hand, looked back once at the small memorial, at the crane, the stones, the quiet acknowledgement of a complicated love. Then she turned toward home, toward life, toward the next 90 seconds. Gianna Coffey saved Dembo Jiang's life 3 times. The first time, she didn't know him. The second time, she was falling in love with him. The third time, she was saying goodbye. But he saved her too, gave her back her calling, showed her that failure wasn't trying and getting it wrong. Failure was not trying at all. They never saw each other again. Federal witness protection made sure of that, but the foundation grew. Thousands of people learned CPR. Hundreds of lives were saved. Jane became a doctor. Stephen became an artist. Gianna stayed an EMT for 20 years before retiring to teach full-time. And somewhere, in a city whose name no one knew, a man who used to be called Dembo Jiang lived peacefully with his son, grateful every day for the 90 seconds a waitress had given him in a diner at 2:47 a.m. Sometimes the people we love for 90 seconds change us forever. Sometimes the people we save end up saving us. Sometimes the bitterest endings hold the sweetest truth. Love doesn't die. It transforms. It lives on in the lives we touch, the choices we make, the courage we find. Even in darkness, we can choose to be light. And sometimes, 90 seconds is all we need. What did you think of that ending? Are you crying? Tell me in the comments what moment hit you the hardest. Was it Gianna saving Yang for the 3rd time? Jane's goodbye? The letters they wrote to each other? If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to feel something real today. Someone who needs to be reminded that love doesn't always look like a fairy tale ending, but it's real anyway. It matters anyway. And subscribe, please. Because I've got more stories like this. Stories that will wreck you in the best way possible. Stories about sacrifice and second chances and the 90 seconds that change everything. Thank you for being here. Thank you for feeling deeply. Thank you for believing that even broken things can be beautiful. Until next time, live well, live fully, and remember, you have 90 seconds right now to change someone's life. Don't waste them.